Hi everyone, welcome to Angel Conversations. And in this episode, I am super excited to be interviewing the incredible Sunny Dawn Johnston. Hi Sunny.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And Sunny is joining us from Phoenix, Arizona. And what's the
Yeah.
weather like there at the moment, Sunny?
Oh my goodness. It is yesterday I got in the car and it was 118.
Wow.
That's the tank top. It is warm right now. Unusually warm. I mean, it's usually hot here, but not like that right now.
Yeah, wow. So, Sunny, I'm absolutely amazed. You are an author of 20 books, or is it even more now that you've got a new book
Well,
out?
I just wrote a new one that just came out last week, so we're on to 21, I guess.
That is absolutely incredible. And are all your books spiritually themed?
They are. Yeah, they are. Probably 8 or 10 of them are about angels, and eight of them are about connecting with deceased loved ones, and then the others are kind of mind, body, spirit. So yes, they sure are.
Super exciting. And what is your latest book, can I ask?
The latest book I just created is called Oracle Cards 101. That's it right there.
Oh, beautiful.
And I created it because I created an Oracle deck called the Multidimensional Oracle and realized that a lot of people were like, well, I don't know how to use them. I'm like, well, there's got to be a book on Amazon. So I went to Amazon and I'm like, there's only like one or two. I guess I better write a book. So I did.
So you've wrote the book. That's amazing. Well, maybe you can pull us one of those cards a little bit into the interview and see
Yeah.
what the angels have got in for us. So I'm just going to go with the flow, and I'm thinking now. So when you communicate with angels and when you communicate with spirit, to me, they're total different kinds of energies. Do you feel the same as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. The angelic realm is a much higher frequency, and our deceased loved ones are much more dense energy. So that's how people start to learn how to discern is the density of the energy that's around us.
Yeah. And I was reading your bio, and I was really excited when I seen that you help like in police cases and things like that. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because that's really exciting, isn't it?
Sure. A lot of people really like that. Gosh, probably about 16, 17 years ago now, I started having experiences where I don't watch television and I haven't for like 20 years, hardly at all, and especially the news. But my husband still did. And so there were times where he'd be watching the news and I'd walk by and somebody would be missing. And then for the next week, 2 weeks, I'd have all of these insights and dreams and messages that would come through. And I was really desperate because I didn't know what to do with it. It was really hard to just hold all that in my container and not have a place to feel like it could be of service. And so after kind of a major experience where it really kind of messed with my head a little bit, I was introduced to a guy that was an ex-DEA agent. So he worked in drug enforcement, and he had started a group, very small, looking for psychics to, he could be the police talk, and then we could do the work behind the scenes. And so I started working with them, volunteering my time probably 16 years ago, and have been with them ever since. And it's been amazing because we've really we've been able to solve a lot of cases and bring closure to people, so it's really hard. It's hard work. It's the hardest work I do, but it's also very rewarding to know that people can know that there's closure with their loved ones that are, just vanished, so to speak.
Yeah. Could you share a little story, an example of your work, or is it private?
No, we can share. There's a lot of things that are public. There was a case in we do cases. The only way we do them is if either the family comes to us or if the police come to us. So that's the only way that we do cases. And obviously by the time we get a case, it's usually like been years and years and years, because of course, we're the last resort. It's like, oh, okay, let's ask the psychics now, see if they know anything, because it can't hurt. But once in a while we get a case at the very beginning, and it doesn't happen very often. But there was a case in Kansas City, outside of Kansas, that was a man that went missing, and the police contacted us right away, and we were able to, within we usually are assigned the case, we have about a week or so, and our group was able to give the police specific, we have to give latitude, longitude points, like exact place that we believe the person or the body is. And because it was winter, the police couldn't do anything, because a lot of our responses were in a lake or a river. And so they waited until the river thawed out, which was like 5-6 months later. But when it actually finally thawed out, on their very first attempt, they didn't find anything. And the second one, the police chief was so invested in this that he actually went on, and the body was lodged under trees, and it popped up 1/10 of a mile away from my mile marker. And so 100 feet, I guess is what it was, 100 feet away from my mile marker. And we had many of the psychics were in, within a mile range, which they could be anywhere in the world. Sometimes we don't even know where they're missing from. So that was, and the family just had there was so much. It was just such a great case, because police aren't usually always on our side. They a lot of times want us to get out of the way. And so it was a collective work. And there were so many of us that really tapped into right where he was. And he was very communicative from the other side. He really helped us. And that doesn't always happen.
That's amazing. So I guess that you and your group practice remote viewing.
We do. Many of, not everybody, but many of us do it naturally. And some have been, really trained in working in that way, because there's so many people that do this work behind the scenes that nobody ever knows about. There's a lot of remote viewers that work in government and things like that, but of course that's too woo-woo to talk about, so they don't. But so people practice a variety. We have a forensic astrologer. We have a variety of different talents that, when we come together, can really be used for the greater good.
Sounds so incredible, and it must be really exciting and fun, especially when it's always exciting. It never fails to get me giddy and excited, psychic work, no matter how many times you do it. It's just like every single time, it's just like, do you still feel like that?
Yeah, I do, especially when you see the lights go on, and the closure come, or the connections be made, or that's what I've been experiencing all my life, yeah, that's it. And so I think that sometimes we can get used to it in a sense of it's really kind of common, because it's so natural. But the reality of it is that when not everybody's always open, and so when people start to open up, that's why we do what we do, is to help them get to it. That's why we have conversations like this, right? To help people find the answers that are already inside of them. It's already been happening. We just kind of create an awareness of something that they didn't know could exist, and help them understand how it's existing and what to do from there.
Yeah. I'm just like, you're the first person that I know of that's been on this interview series, and this is the first time that remote viewing has come up. Mm-hmm. So I wondered if you would just, in a nutshell, explain to the listeners, watchers, how your team might perform remote viewing.
So everybody in our group, we all do it individually. So everybody does everything individual. So we get a case assigned to us, and then we have a due date for it. And it's almost like we're filling out a police report. What is the latitude and longitude of the bodies? Are there any addresses? Are you seeing any cars, or what are you aware of? And we have to kind of fill out this form. So some of us, I think the simplest way to kind of explain remote viewing to an average everyday person that's not doing it is, it's really kind of going into a place where, for me, I tap into the energy of the spirit, the energy of the soul. And I ask them to guide me, to take me to that place. Let me see that place, that environment. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's like, nope, no connection, done. And then others, it's like you are almost like you're put into the exact place, almost as if you're in their body. So you can see the things around, you can identify markers, you can, if you're in a room, you can see pictures and signs. You could actually have them guide you out to the house to show you the address. So sometimes I've been above it, where I'm experiencing it like I'm observing from a higher perspective, and oftentimes I'm like literally in it, viewing through their perspective. That's the simplest way to explain it. And there's lots of detail and lots of ways to do it, but most of us never learned how to do it. It just started happening and we didn't know what the hell was going on, you know?
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And the way that you're explaining it to me is you're doing it from a mediumship point of view. So I did a remote viewing training course. It was just for fun. It's not my it's not the best thing that I'm not the best at it, but I wanted to have a go. And we did it a different way, where we were given coordinates and we had to find the landmark. And
Right.
When you're doing it on your own and you're just with them, you're going into it and you're looking around and seeing what's there, but you're actually communicating with spirit to get your information. And I like that difference, because there is a big difference between psychic and mediumship. And you're obviously clearly doing both.
Right.
Which is incredible.
I think that's probably, I mean, that's a great way for training to be able to, you know, go to this place and then tell us what you see. And then as kind of practice or testing to get everybody to be able to see the same thing, or identify similarities, because that helps give validation to the student. I think when you're a medium and naturally that's how you've been, then it just takes us. We just go the way they, you know, it's not like we go, okay, now let me try and figure, it's just like, zoop, there we are. And we're along for the ride, so to speak.
Yeah. So would you say that you communicate mainly more with your spirit guides or with your guardian angel, or is it just a big like mix up of both?
Big old mix. It's a big old mix. I call them my team. I'm grateful to have them, and they all show up, and that's what I really look for. I think sometimes our human mind can get too stuck on who am I working with and what's their name and what do I call them by? And sometimes when we're in that place, we're so in our ego that we can't actually be in the energy of spirit. And so for me, I've always just been grateful. I started by seeing my guardian angel when I was 13, and that's what opened the door for me. And so the angels have always been really close to my heart and where I really started my entire journey. But as I grew and evolved, what I recognized is I've got a team. I've got guides, I've got ascended masters, I've got deceased loved ones. I got a lot of deceased energies that aren't loved ones, but they're friends or clients or students or people I've crossed paths with. And hey, if they're going to help support me in moving in the direction for my highest good, I'll take them all.
Yeah, amazing. And you've just started to answer my next question, which was, how did this all come about with your psychic spiritual awakening? So was it like you just said, when you were 13 you had this experience, or was the signs before? Could you share a bit more about that?
Sure. So when I was young, I was always sensitive, and not sensitive like kids, like sensitive, like getting people's feelings hurt. Like I wasn't like that, but I was sensitive to energy, and I was always more aware and in tune of what people weren't saying, what was being avoided. You know, I always knew those kinds of things from a young age. And so but I didn't have any way of even knowing what that might mean, or just that I was a little different that way. But when I was 13, I went to bed one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw my guardian angel. And at the time, I actually wasn't trained. I wasn't brought up in religion, although I was surrounded by religion. My whole family was, but my mom and dad didn't raise me in religion. So I didn't really believe in angels. I just kind of thought they were a little knickknack you put on your mantle, and that was good. So when I had this experience, it wasn't even after I had it. I knew that it was real, and I knew that this was really an amazing experience. But even in knowing that, it wasn't like I was like, okay, I've got angels with me all the time. It was more of, I don't know where that came from. I don't know how it started. And I want to experience that more, because I felt this energy of unconditional love that I didn't even know how to describe it. And so what it did is it got me curious. It got me curious. And the curiosity was, well, if that can happen, and if they've always been with me, as people would say, then what else is out there? And so what I did was and I've always been a curious person and always wanted to learn. And so I didn't have, I was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is a very religious society, especially in the 70s and 80s. And so there weren't books to go read to understand any of this. So I just went straight to them. I'm like, okay, well, can I have that experience again? And however you came, could you come back? And like, those were my prayers, not in any formal form. It was just, hey, let's do this again. And I started learning because they started teaching me.
That's amazing. And when you first met your guardian angel, how did you receive it? Was it like clairvoyantly or physically or in a dream?
So I was asleep, and I went to roll over, and I looked at the clock, and it was 1 o'clock straight up. I went to roll over, and there was a bright light above my head. So when I went to roll over, I looked up, and it was, I would say, light color that you can't describe. But there was form to the color that I believe was to make me feel safe. So the form was like a flowy kind of light energy, and the face gave me the impression of security because it resembled my mom. So it wasn't that it was my mom, and I don't actually think that there was a face, but I think when I saw it, that's what I felt, the nurturing, and I felt the love, and I felt the unconditional energy. And so that's what I associate it with. But it was really an energetic light form, but there was enough form and it was above my bed, and it was there for a long, until I had the experience. I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's an hour and it's 5 minutes, but of this unconditional love being just infused into me. And then I was so calm, I literally rolled over and went back to sleep. I was like, and I just rolled over and went back to sleep. And then in the morning when I woke up, that's when my head kicked in. I'm like, oh my God, what was that? And all the ego kind of started popping in. But so for me, it was visual, and it was feeling. I saw and I felt, and I knew that this was a presence that was unlike anything I recognized on a human level.
Yeah. I always see angels in humanistic form, and like you've just said, I think that they do that for me so that it gives you that level of security.
Yeah.
And it just helps your mind to get around what is going on, because right. if angel looked totally different, then it could be scary for some people, couldn't it?
For sure. And it is scary, even in the form that they do show up in. We have such training that says that if you don't see it and it doesn't look like everything else, then it's not real. And so I think a lot of people, especially if there's religious training, that it's the devil in disguise and all of those kinds of things that can really trigger fears for people. So I think that's often why they do show up in form. And then of course, as I've evolved and expanded, that now there is no form. Now there's just a light energy, and I can discern the difference. And but I've done this for 37 years, so it's part of my life.
Yeah, I was raised Christian, and I was born seeing angel spirit just naturally coming out of the body, remembering astral projection and all that. But my grandparents, they really didn't like it at all. It scared them. And they ended up scaring me by telling the church. And there was a spell where I could no longer see spirit. And it actually petrified me all the more because I could still feel them, but I couldn't see them anymore. And that was even worse.
Sure.
Yeah. That was, I was probably about 10 when I lost the ability to see. Yeah. And then when I got to age around 13, you know, little rebel, bought my tarot deck, was just really drawn to all kind of religions, just looking for the truth, really.
Right.
So I studied everything, and then using cards and meditation, it brought it all back. But yeah, that was funny times. But I suppose I must have needed that experience for something.
Well, probably because you're in a role of teaching now. So, you know, you're helping people to understand that fear does some crazy things to us. And one of them is it absolutely manifests physically. And so you weren't the fear so much of what you were experiencing, what was being projected onto you, caused you to not be able to see, so that maybe then it might not be real. But the reality of it is, what happens is, when you feel it, you feel it, and you can't ignore and deny that. So it would be more difficult even to have seen, not seen, but then feel that presence and not know what to do with it, not know how to, you know, get rid of that. Got rid of this. How do I get rid of that? And when you're sensitive like that, it's very challenging.
Yeah, I remember I would be in bed and I would sense these presences around me. I'd sit up, put the light on, look around, nothing there, turn the light, and I would be like that, like every single night. Yeah. So,
which is why it's so great that we have these conversations now, because then it helps. You know, back in the day, we didn't have that ability. You know, especially when this was late 70s, early 80s, when all this was going on. There was nobody to talk to about it. And, you know, though I'm not a big fan of media in a lot of ways, but that's one thing that media has brought, is some normalcy to, you know, spirituality and to the reality of what we are and who we are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was the same. I didn't know anybody who was interested in any spirituality, only religion. And then as I got older, when I was 19, there was all these synchronicities, and I kept bumping into certain people, and there's this little gang of people who I caught them reading the Celestine prophecy in and it's just one of them. Oh
yeah, you said universe, that's my kind of people. Oh, energy, yeah, I got it. The little signs.
Because it was rare then too. And these people, they're still in my life now. We call each other family. We're a soul family.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just amazing how it all ends up working out. Can I ask you, and this is a cheeky question, do you have a favorite archangel? And if so, who?
I love cheeky questions. You know, yes, I do. I think we all kind of have ones that we kind of go to. But I would say I have two. I think Michael was the one I was first introduced to. And Michael has really helped me to learn how to maintain my own energy, because I was such an absorber of everybody else's stuff that I didn't really know how to separate me from anybody else. And I didn't know where that energy ended. And so working with Michael every single day, inviting him to help me to support my own energy so I don't absorb the energy of others, has been life-changing. So I would say that, you know, in my teaching, that's probably the number one thing I teach, because I think so many people that are sensitive, it affects us and we don't know. But I would also say that Archangel Shamuelle, for me, has been my life lesson. And my life lesson has been how to learn to love myself and embrace myself and accept myself for who I am, weird and all, because that was a big issue for me. I didn't fit in, you know. And so Shamuelle's energy helped me learn how to be okay with who I am, and not even just be okay with it, but embrace it and love who she is. And I don't think I would be where I am today without having learned that very difficult lesson that still today I'm in class. Like I'm always in a state of learning how to embrace more and get rid of the critical thinking and the critical voice. And Shamuelle has really been a support for me that way.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. My favorite angels, and I'm saying that they're my favorite because these are the angels that I was working with first, like yourself, Michael. Everyone always says Michael, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, and my next favorite angel who I work with a lot is Uriel.
Yeah,
I love Uriel, but I'm a Sagittarius. I am fire.
Me too. I'm Aries and I'm fire too. So
oh, yay! I was going to ask you what your star sign was, because as you're speaking, you've got a similar personality to me. I think I'm always learning. I still do courses now. I'm always reading 3 or 4 books. Like I just want this information.
Yes.
And it's just also exciting, isn't it? Learning. There's so much to learn. It will never stop.
Never stops. And it's that kind of go. I actually have 9 planets in fire. So I've got a lot of fire in me. Sometimes I need a little water.
Oh, amazing. So what do you teach?
What do I teach? Oh my goodness. So many aspects of my business. I've been doing this for 20 plus years professionally. And so I teach a lot about angels. Angels are kind of one of my foundational teachings, and on a variety of levels, but angels are my, that's my heart. But I teach people also about connecting with their deceased loved ones. So we do a lot of mediumship. And because I don't want people to have to depend on somebody else, I want them to learn how to find it within them, because we all have that ability. I believe mediumship gets kind of a bad rap because a lot of people believe they have to go to somebody else to connect with their deceased loved ones. And the reality of it is that if you had a heart connection with someone, you're the very best medium for them. You just have to learn how to tap in and tune in and trust yourself. And sometimes you need some help there. And then I teach a lot about growing your spiritual based business. Like I've started, after a lot of years doing this work and being successful in it, I had a lot of people that say, well, how do I do what you do? And so that's where my business is kind of shifted, is I do this piece still. And it's really important to me. And I help support people who are growing and establishing and building their own spirit-based, heart-based businesses. And that's been really rewarding, because I think I can save people years and years and years of what not to do, because I had a lot of that to get to that place.
Yeah. So it's like you've gone to the next level now. So, I've just come out of 15 years, 20 years of hands-on, giving therapies, giving readings, to teaching, and now you're teaching the teachers how.
Exactly.
So just spreading all that light and that wisdom so that we can all tap into it, because like yourself, the style that I teach is you are your own guru. This is how I do it. Let's see if you can do it yourself. I'm exactly the same. It's so empowering.
Yes.
To give people suggestions and techniques. And then when they actually do it, it's incredible, because half of the time they can't believe that they've done it.
Yes.
Like even on the first go, and they've got all this incredible information and their mind is blown.
Yes. And I love that. I love that. Yeah. So that's where I've put a lot of my attention, is there's so many things that people think they need to do that they don't, and things that they don't need to do that they do, to really to start or build or grow that spirit-based business. And so many people have the desire and want to do it. They don't have the confidence. And so I think that the part of the reason we don't have confidence is we don't have knowledge. And so when you've got somebody who has walked that, who knows what it looks like, who knows those struggles, it's not like I got to skip any. And there was no mentor for me at that time. There wasn't anybody to follow. And so I think that it's part of, and I do take it as a responsibility. It's part of my responsibility to give people as many tools as I can to help them, avoid some of the things that aren't necessary to have to. I mean, it was necessary for me, but we don't have to keep doing that.
Yeah. Would you pull one of your new oracles?
Yeah, for sure.
What was the deck called again, Sunny?
So they're called the multi-dimensional oracle, and there's the cover right there.
Oh, beautiful.
And so the idea came to me during the pandemic, where Spirit just kept saying, people are so afraid. They're so afraid, and you've got to help them get out of the fear. And how do we help people get out of the fear? Well, I believe it's to learn to trust ourselves. And so I knew I needed to really focus on intuition. And so the cards showed up as a tool to be able to help people get focused on their intuition. And Spirit said to me, this is a deck that is honoring and acknowledging the different dimensions and different vibrations that we can tap into with our intuition. So this one includes animals, symbols, numbers, and ascended masters. And so it gives a variety where, a lot of times we have an animal deck, and we have a fairy deck, and we have a dolphin deck. This one is a variety of them all put together in one. And I think it's the only one of its kind, because I tend to be a little unusual. So
where can we get these cards? Are they on Amazon or?
They're on Amazon. Yep. Multidimensional oracle cards. They're also on my website. And the Oracle Cards 101 book is also on Amazon or on my website. Okay, let's see. So the card I pull for everyone is, this is the heart. And the heart, obviously, it's about love, but it's also about really that commitment to yourself. It's about recognizing and valuing who you are in the world, and seeing the light and the love in others, which sometimes we struggle to see, especially when we're struggling ourselves. And I want to pull one more because I feel like I need to. So I'm going to just give you one more. I love the cards, because they speak to a variety of different areas instead of just one. And that's, I was like, oh, I'm getting blessed with this. This is so great. Thank you. Okay, so this is the card that I picked for it. So this is the elephant. And so the elephant, of course, represents that strength and that loyalty and the wisdom. And I think a lot of times we think about that as loyalty to other people, where when I look at this and I tune in, especially for this audience, I feel like it's being loyal to yourself. It's honoring yourself. It's being sensitive to your needs and having strength to follow through with that instead of giving into what other people think or want or need.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. They are beautiful cards. I'm going to order a deck as soon as I get off here. I knew you was going to get that elephant.
Yeah. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite cards. And the fun thing is the artist that I found to create these, because I am not that talented in the art world. I draw stick people like my granddaughter. But the elephant was the first one she created. And when I saw it, I just was like, oh my God, that is like exactly what I'm looking for. So it was perfect match.
Beautiful. Amazing. Well, Sunny, thank you so much for joining us on Angel Conversations. It has gone so fast.
I know, it did go by really fast. It was great. Thanks so much for having me. I loved it.
Can you tell us where can our watchers find you, your socials, your website?
You bet. So my website, sunnydawnjohnston with a T.com. And I have a boutique there. So all my products and all my books and everything are there, but they're all available on Amazon as well. And so you can go find my author page on Amazon and check everything out. Social, Sunny Dawn Johnston fan page. Instagram, sunnydawn.johnston for Instagram. I'm on the others, but I don't really do anything with them, so don't go there. Stick with Facebook and Instagram. That's the best place to find YouTube. I'm on YouTube, so you can find it there too. Lots of videos and teachings on YouTube, actually.
Fab. Well, I feel so blessed to have met you today, and I hope we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Lots of love.